Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, in the sane and wonderful world. We're talking to you tonight. As always, from A Voice for Men, I'm Paul Elam, and tonight I am with none other than non-affiliated MRA Jack Barnes. How you doing, bud?
I'm pretty good. How are you, Paul?
Oh, I can't complain too much. Well, actually, I could, but I ain't gonna bother. Um, I'm having too much fun to complain anyway.
There
Look,
you
folks,
go.
we got a little bit of a story here. Jack is much more familiar with all the details. So if I say something stupid, he'll correct me and he'll fill in the blanks where I don't know them and all that good stuff. Um, there was a young woman, is a young woman in the city of Minneapolis who had taken to reacting to men who had allegedly made comments about her appearance, saying, "You look nice," or, another hollaback on wheels going around with her camera. Only her shtick was to videotape herself confronting the guys, showing them, not necessarily her. And she did, I didn't see all her videos. I know on some that I saw, she had faces blurred out, but there was one where she recorded the guy's phone number and then put it live on YouTube without deleting it. And she's been writing about this in a couple of different places, for some reason, just using her first name of Linsey. And by all appearances, making some effort to cover her last name or cover her identity, not wanting to be known as the bandit with the camera on the streets of Minneapolis, not wanting people to know who she is. At least that is my assumption. Jack, how much of this do I have right so far?
Uh, you're pretty well on point. She when she videotaped these guys, and later she put blurred out their faces. A lot of times she just didn't take the time to do it right, to do a good job, and the blur would move, or the person would move, and the blur wouldn't move with them.
Or she did a
So
good enough job that that happened intentionally, for all we know.
yeah, exactly. But hey, you're spot on. Keep going.
Well, we did a program about this, and Jack is in the middle of writing a follow up article. We should have out before too long on the site. But we discussed this before, and I found it curious about why she was not using her last name, which is Middlecamp, by the way, Linsey Middlecamp of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Um, she Why do you think she was doing such a lame job? Because she was easy to find. I mean, it isn't like that she was buried in some, dark cover that people couldn't figure out who she was and even where she worked. But Jack, why do you think she was trying to cover her tracks? And second question, why'd she do such a piss poor job of it?
Well, I can answer that by telling you the a little bit about my interaction with Linsey Middlecamp on Twitter. When I found this woman who had made a stupid comment about rape, right? And I went in and I corrected her. I said, no, that's not right. I can't even remember what it was now. And she launched into this tirade befitting of a high school girl. Okay, there was no attempt to say no. I believe I'm right and you're wrong, and here's why. And it wasn't even your typical feminist comebacks. This was I was like, am I dealing with a 16-year-old here? I mean, what's the deal? It wasn't until I started digging into her profile, her Twitter profile, through her bio, that I found out that she's the same woman that I'd been watching for years on the Cards Against Harassment deal. I went, oh, wait a minute. This is the same person. I said, you know what? You're this person who did the Cards Against Harassment thing. You're trying to hide behind anonymity in order to do that, and I don't think you should get away with that. I'm going to
Can
find
you
your real life.
explain, Jack? Can you explain to everybody
Mm.
what Cards Against Harassment is?
Oh, okay, all right. When she's out doing these videos, when she's out walking the street there in downtown Minneapolis, which is apparently where she works, and a guy catcalls her or says something to her or looks at her, she hands out these cards belittling them as misogynist, uh, uh, rapist in waiting, basically saying, this, what you're doing is part of rape culture, and you need to stop doing this because the person you're saying these things to, it might make them uncomfortable. Yeah, really. And everyone has the right to feel comfortable in public, apparently, according to this woman.
Well,
But anyway,
and to set the conditions pretty broadly on what comfort means. Nobody can talk to you, about you, try to get to know you, say hello to you.
well,
I got to say,
Paul,
go ahead.
it's no men can do that.
Oh, God, yeah, I forgot about that. I'm sure that she is not charging women on the street. Of course, maybe women don't talk to her. Who knows? But I do know one thing, that this is not about being offended. This is about, now I'm going to guess that since she does have recordings of people commenting on her appearance, I'm going to guess that she probably either got a nice ass or nice tits or something like that, or maybe even both.
No,
Um,
actually, Paul, I got to stop you there. No, the guys, most of them said you're pretty or
oh,
you're beautiful.
wow. Okay. All right. So she has some face. Whatever, some physical attribute that guys find appealing. And what
Hmm.
she's doing, this isn't about not being offended. This is about exercising raw power over strangers. Uh, Complimenting somebody, of course, I know the feminist take on the situation would be, well, you're exercising patriarchal power because you're catcalling her because you're making some comment. And, to be fair, I don't catcall because I won't lower myself uh, over a piece of ass. But do we really think that, I mean, even Jessica Valenti said that she missed it, that as she got older and men stopped paying attention to her and stopped saying things on the street. And then, of course, she was a victim to the patriarchal system that made her miss such things. These are her words, not mine. But this is human instinct. It's the way men and women are. And this is just an ideologue, probably one with a personality disorder that has found a way to make people squirm, to make people feel uncomfortable for doing something that comes just as natural to human beings as can be, and has for the better part of 6 million years, as far as I know. At least that's as long as hominids have been here. I'm assuming that showing interest or attraction has been a pretty good part of how the human species has managed to survive. And
Mm.
she's turning this into a sickness and something to berate people with on the street, and then to put them and their phone numbers out on the internet. So, looking at that, great minds think alike. I think I said I want, and Jack said her last name, all in one breath between two people. I think that's
Hmm.
pretty much how it happened. And now you have it. I mean, it's no big deal. I mean, this is not a really, really important person, but she is basically a high tech street thug. Um, and she wanted to operate in anonymity. And I'm sorry, but where was she writing for? Slate or some shit?
I think, wasn't it the Daily Beast?
Yeah, maybe Daily Beast. Who knows?
Yeah.
One of the biggies. You're so sorry, Linsey Middlecamp. You're a public person. You have a public profile. You're an opinionator. So you don't get to hide uh, behind an anonymous screen name, especially. I mean, if you can't do any better job to cover your tracks than you did, um, your
Hmm.
anonymity wasn't going to last anyway.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. When I told her, I said, "Look, I'm going to find your last name and I'm going to put it out there." She went into this victimhood damseling right off the bat. You know what you're doing is doxing me. I don't want you to have any illusions that what you're doing is not doxing. And I'm going, well, okay. My idea was to search the internet and see if your last name was published anywhere. But whatever you want to call it, that's fine with me. I'm going to do it anyway. This
Well,
whole time, the
and it
whole
turns
time,
out her name is published.
yeah, yeah, exactly. The whole time she was doing this, the whole time she was damseling for her followers, her name was published on the website of the organization that she sits on the board of. Okay, let me see if I can pull it up on my internet here without cutting off the call.
Okay, don't you dare cut off the call. I'll be lost without you, Jack.
But her name was published on the board of directors of StopStreetHarassment.org. Her picture and her first and last name. Not only that, she is listed as one of the speakers for the 2016 Minnesota chapter of the National Organization for Women's website. In other words, she's going to be a speaker at their conference, and her first and last name is there too.
Oh, and I got news for you, Linsey Middlecamp. Even if neither one of those things were present on the internet, I think it took somebody about 5 minutes of looking to find them. Even if none of that stuff was there, this is still not doxing. You're still wrong.
Yeah.
Just like you're wrong about harassing people on the street for telling you look nice. But this is not doxing. If you're writing for Daily Caller or for Slate or Daily Beast or whatever major rag is out there, and you're exposing your victims through a large media platform, I'm sorry, babe, but you don't get to do that without your last name.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason I think she was doing that, or the reason I think she was attempting to keep her, or excuse me, the reason I think she did such a poor job of keeping her last name secret is so she could damsel. This is all about her playing the part of the heroic woman fighting back against the male oppression, fighting the patriarchy, and let's flip the cards on the table here, Paul. If you or I or any other man had done what she done, we would have gotten a fist in the mouth. She was able to walk up and just berate these men, and they did nothing to her.
Nope.
What kind of a patriarchy are we living in?
Well, yeah. I mean, what she basically did was go up and antagonize and harass people on the street, and then turned around and used her camera to prove that even being an obnoxious cunt, she's safe.
Yeah.
From exactly. The very people that she's claiming are a threat.
And that, if I could sum up what Linsey does in one sentence, street harassment is this. Street harassment is a woman who does not like the fact that certain men express sexual attraction to her if these men, or if she is not sexually attracted to these men herself. That's what street harassment is. Because let's face it, if Brad Pitt could walk down the street of Minneapolis, Minnesota, grab her ass and squeeze it a couple times, and she would be on Twitter and Facebook and Skype and YouTube 10 minutes later talking about how great it was, and she would like to have his baby. But because these men are blue-collar guys, because these men are just your average guys out there, not famous, not rich, not, just average-looking guys, right? Then it's not acceptable.
Well, let me give you a slight disagreement with that.
Okay.
So I don't disagree with the principle of it at all. I think that if Brad Pitt grabbed her boobs or her ass on the street, she would love it. I think it'd get that Gina tingle going, no doubt about it. She'd be all smiles on the inside, and then she'd go report a sexual assault. Because ain't nothing, ask Bill Cosby, ain't no money like celebrity money.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably so. You're probably
right. But she would like it. And again, that just goes to speak to where the real power is. When we're talking about the power between men and women, how is it that men have the power if women can put a camera on them berate them, talk to them like they're a retarded stepchild, humiliate them in public, and put it on the internet and walk away. I mean, God, you'd think if we lived in a system that oppressed women, I mean, she would have already been caned by now at a bare minimum.
Or she would have never felt safe enough to do that kind of thing in the first place.
Exactly. This is the typical feminist ploy, and why, of course, in a gynocentric society, it works like gangbusters. How do you think Anita Sarkeesian made all that money? The same way that this bitch is. The same fucking thing that this bitch is doing. She's antagonizing people, and then she's claiming to be the victim. If she's an attorney,
yes,
well, good for her. If she thinks this is doxing or some kind of infraction of any laws, well, our LLC address is on the masthead, and feel free to write, and we'll forward it on to our attorneys. But for now, Linsey Middlecamp, you're out. And so next time you run around with a camera harassing people on the street, trying to humiliate them, somebody's likely to know who you are. And that's good enough for me.
Yep. Yeah, that right there, of having your name of who you are, so that if they choose to pursue this in, let's say, in legal court of law, right, of what you did. Now, I'm not sure they have any case, but let's just say that they did. They don't probably. But the thing about it is, Paul, is with people like this, with people like her, they always tend to escalate what they do, right?
Well,
because what she's doing right now is it's losing its power in society. After the whole thing about what was it, 10 hours through walking through New York, after that whole thing blew up, she went silent on the Cards Against Harassment thing. She stopped posting videos pretty much after that incident happened. So now she's got to do something else to get her name out there.
Well, she can come on and sue A Voice for Men. That'll make your career right there.
But when I've been researching this woman and looking into her, what it is she does, I have been researching her career. I'm not going to publish where she works, but
no, we're not going to do any of the shit that she would do.
Right, but I have to tell you that with my interactions with her on Twitter, along with my research, what I have come to believe is her personality is her brain is still stuck in high school. It's still this high school mentality of, okay, I've put myself out on the marketplace, the sexual marketplace, right? And she gets feedback. She gets people, basically making offers of hitting on her or saying she's attractive.
Oh my God. I don't know how she takes it.
Well, yeah, exactly. As an adult, male or female, you know that that's going to happen, and there's going to be people who you're not attracted to who are going to find you attractive. And an adult, when that happens, is like, sorry, I'm not interested. Thank you for the compliment, though. I really appreciate the fact that you find me attractive, but I'm just not interested. No, that's what an adult does. These high school girls, and boys do this too. Whenever someone of lesser quality, quote unquote, or less attractive than them, ooh, what's wrong with you? Get away. That's exactly what she's doing.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm still that way, but I don't act on it.
Yeah. Well, no, it might be inside your head, Paul, but you treat the women who are attracted to you as better than trash. You're usually probably, I would say.
Oh no, it's flattering to get attention here and there. And by the way, I'll make an analogy about this, and it is very similar. I'm a really tall guy. everywhere I go, my whole life, people are, uh, making comments about my height. I mean, everywhere. And I'll admit, you know what? It gets old after a while. I mean, I've rehearsed lines in the back of my head when they say, "Is it raining up there?" I want to say, or "How's the weather up there?" I want to say it's raining and spit on them. Uh, when they when they ask me if I play basketball, I want to say, "No." Are you a jockey? Uh, uh, but that's just, you know what? That's as far as it goes. Because guess what? I'm just about 6'8" tall, a lot taller than the average guy, and people are going to fucking notice. And what am I going
Yeah.
to do? Sit around and bellyache to the world that perfect strangers make these really grand intellectual observations like, "Gah, you're tall." Uh, don't tell me Harvard, right? No. Yeah. Sorry. This is pent up frustration, but this is the kind of frustration that I think normal people have over stuff like that. But they just shine it on. They don't turn this into a media event or a legal event or a social cause. And but welcome to the world of SJWs, where everything deserves a cause.
Yeah. Well, if I can offer my own analogy to that, to this whole situation, I walked in a truck stop the other day, and for everyone who doesn't know, I'm an owner operator, independent truck driver. And so, yeah, I walked in the truck stop, and I went first thing, of course, made a beeline to the bathroom. Well, on my way, I passed this woman who was working there, and she was, I won't say middle 20s, right? And she smiled and kind of, looked at me, and of course, I'm thinking, well, she's an employee here. They're told, smile at the customers, be nice to the customers, right? Well, and I smiled back at her, kind of nodded my head, said hello, and went to the restroom, done what I had to do, come out. When I come out, this woman was walking past the entrance there to the restrooms. She stops, looks at me up and down, and bites her bottom lip and gives me those eyes, and then
Ah,
walks. Yeah, and then
you
walks
were
in.
violated.
Yeah, really, and then walks into the storage room that was across the way there, and I'm standing there going, did that just happen? And I actually turned around and looked behind me to see if she was looking at me because I'm sort of, ma'am, if you ever hear this, you seriously need your eyes checked. But you know what, Paul? On my walking back out to the fuel island, I wasn't going, I've been violated. Hell no, I was strutting, damn it.
Well, no, man, no, you got that all wrong, Jack. We need to hear how you were wounded by this experience and how you feel unsafe at truck stops now, and how we need truck stop monitors standing around the bathroom to make sure that the female clerks don't ogle you vulnerable, soft and tender truck drivers that come in there to take a leak. We need to talk about the pain, Jack. Let's get real here.
I don't want to talk about it.
That's okay, brother. I understand.
But
And
no, it's of course it doesn't happen to me very often, obviously. But when it does happen, it's like, yeah, all right, and I can't. The only way I can comprehend what Middlecamp does, what Linsey Middlecamp does, is it is that high school attitude. It's like she's still in high school. That's the
oh
only
yeah.
thing that makes sense.
Sorry, I was distracted there for a moment, Jack. I was trying to think of the last time a woman looked at me and bit her lower lip and gave me that look, and shit, she had blue hair. And I don't mean the punk style. I mean blue rinse.
Well, you know, Hey,
I think she had a couple of boxes of Depends in her shopping cart.
well, you play the hand you're dealt, man.
Yeah, life's rough. Somebody has to live it. Well, that's
Yeah.
really, I guess that's about all there is to this mess. We didn't want to run on a long time. We just wanted to get this out on the record. And in the days ahead, look for Jack's article on this to come out. We'll go ahead and embed this short video with it. Jack, anything you want to add before we get the hell out?
Yeah, there is. I've been following this for a couple of years now, since around about the time she started all of this. And I want this is not a joke. I don't mean this lighthearted. I'm serious. I want to offer my apologies to her victims, because her YouTube channel has something like 750,000 views or something like that. The videos have been embedded on many, many, many different news articles on mainstream media sites. After we've done that first video, before that, she took a bunch of her videos down. Now that we've done that last video, not this one, but the last one, she has put her Twitter account, she set it to private. But she took a lot of her videos down because of what we were doing. I want to apologize to her victims and their families, the men that were in those videos. I want to apologize to you because I did not do this sooner. I've known about it. I just didn't do anything about it until now. And I feel bad about that. I should have done something before now.
Well, you ought to have, Jack. God damn it. You know, well, I mean, I think what you did was great. I'm glad you did follow up with it. I'm glad. I don't want to say necessarily I'm glad she took the videos down. I think not putting the videos up would have been the right thing to do to begin with. Yes. But we're not here to censor. We are here to shine a light, though.
Yes.
And so if a light on you doesn't mix with you talking, maybe you ought to consider that your ideology isn't really compatible with anything very wholesome.
One other thing I want to say, she has set her Twitter account to private now. It seems like she has no problem putting these guys out there on display for hundreds of thousands of people to see, while slapping the label of misogynist, street harasser, and rape culture onto them. She has no problem doing that. But when someone is going to criticize her for doing that, she runs and hides.
Well, that goes back to your high school mentality. I think it's just as likely that we're really may not be talking high school mentality as much as cluster biatch. But it's one of the two in all likelihood. Hell, she's part of the feminist media establishment. You know she's crazy. Anyway, with that, folks, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you all for showing up. And if you feel like it, come on over to A Voice for Men. Take a poke around. If you haven't been there before, read some of the articles. If you are a rational thinker, you will probably like a good deal of what you read there. One last chance, Jack. Anything you want to say before I hit the stop broadcast button here?
No, I'm good. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Thank you, Jack. Everybody, you guys take care, and we'll see you next time, including you, Linsey Middlecamp. Bye-bye.